refer to as the concierge economy. And I want to convince all of you that to win with customers or consumers, we're all going to have to act like concierges. I also want to leave you with the notion that if you don't act like a concierge, that there's going to be real consequences. Moreover, I want you to internalize that this unfolding world of digital technology, combined with the human touch, will open up a world of opportunity for you to take advantage of this concierge economy. So let's talk about what I mean by, what do I mean by a concierge? I mean, a concierge we typically associate with the person at the hotel who kind of helps us with just about any question we have. They anticipate our needs. Oftentimes I may ask about a jogging trail. He or she might give me a bottle of water afterwards. But they're there to help us in any way we can. And this is a really, really big deal. Here in Switzerland, there are hotel and concierge schools in the Swiss schools, and hundreds of manuals if you kind of go to Google and the like. I did a little bit of research to try to understand what are the success drivers of being a great concierge, and I found a great study that Condé Nast Traveler had put together, and they had kind of designated this gentleman that you see as kind of the number one concierge of that particular year. And then they interviewed him to ask him what were the success criteria. And a few things jumped out. So an ability to listen and have empathy with the guests, and importantly, guests often don't know what they want. A resourcefulness, which involves a good network and a determination to not take no for an answer. Well-rounded and balanced. The ability to manage clients in an intelligent and informed conversation. Now, what's interesting about this notion of the concierge in the digital age is that, the simple bell has been augmented by a lot of additional capability. So we know, for example, that, when consumers have questions, there's the phone, there's the FAQ, and then there's the online community, which clearly has been a kind of a foundation of the internet since it's been around. But it's gotten a lot more interesting. The requirements for a good concierge means 24/7, especially in the mobile age, when we're not willing to wait. And then we've also seen the proliferation of instant messenger tools and more recently chatbots that also take on this concierge mindset of kind of helping consumers or customers to answer questions. But it's getting even more sophisticated. You've got smart refrigerators that you see at the major trade shows like CES or Demexco in Germany, where the machines come to life asking the consumers questions as they attempt to kind of guide them to answers. Voice activation has taken off in a very, very big way. We'll come back to that in a moment. And then Internet of Things is touching just about every single household device. So the bar has gone up, and technology is a big enabler. And a lot of the friction that typically was involved in consumers offering feedback or even asking that question has evaporated. Now, if we put this in a historical perspective, especially on the digital side, one could argue that Google search was really the early roots of the digital concierge. It was kind of the ultimate deep dive into the FAQ. Where do you want to go today, how deep, and the like. And the web has kind of continued to kind of build on that foundation. And we know that search has evolved in many ways. Most phones have voice search, whether through Siri and the like, but even voice has taken on a completely different flavor in recent years. I think we're up to about 50 million global devices. I think Amazon's been the early player, but obviously Google's jumping into this in a big way. just a few weeks ago, they announced about a dozen new projects that incorporate voice-based technology and algorithms. And even in China, with players like JD.com, you've seen a lot of smart speakers that are evolving. But these voice concierges, if you will, are proliferating and kind of raising that bar of expectations with consumers. Now, for us, as I think about my own experience, Alexa in our household has made a really big difference. We've got several. We've got one in the kitchen, and it's become, sometimes I refer to it as the family pet, but it's there to answer a number of different questions, whether setting the clock for cooking or taking us to our favorite podcast or even occasionally telling a joke. And I wanted to just give a sense of how this plays out. Here's a video of my daughter, Leila, who's here in the audience. I call it the Leila Test, where if the technologies that we develop at work don't work for my 12-year-olds, then they're probably not going to work for consumers. But here's an illustration of how the digital concierge is playing out in the kitchen environment.
Recipes. What would you like to do?
Alexa, ask Goodness to cook sriracha lime glazed salmon.
Sriracha lime glazed salmon serves 4 and is 220 calories per serving. If you'd like to watch a short video showing how to prepare this dish, say play video.
Alexa, play video.
Okay, I've teed up a video for you on your visual guide.
Alexa, ask Goodness to start cooking.
Okay, I'll read you the instructions one step at a time.
So you get the idea. In this case, what we did is I've been working on a lot of voice initiatives, and we combined the voice piece with the visual search. And now Amazon has actually combined the two, and we actually have an Echo Show in the house. But a lot of what you see taking place is, the consumer is asking a question, not unlike going to that hotel concierge, and they are providing solutions and utility in return. And I think one of our challenges for those of us that are trying to figure out how to win in an online environment is like, how do we maximize value to the consumer or the customer? Easier said than done. You need some very, very deep consumer insights to get there. Now, it doesn't stop with voice. The advancements that we've seen with other digital assistants and even smart robots. Pepper, a robot from Japan, has been around, I think, for about 5 years. We've done some testing. I'm not sure with him or her, but it's interesting now. If you go to the trade shows, there's hundreds of cousins of Pepper that are kind of serving as not a substitute for the human, but as a complement in terms of aiding the sales process. But again, embracing the same skills and how-tos from those Swiss management skills around the concierge. And then you have a world of messenger and chatbots, which have really taken off. And here's an example, if we can run this one here. Here's an example of a chatbot that will go through a series of questions with consumers. In this case, it might be how to select a pet, but it could be pretty much any topic. And these are really, really taking off. It requires a lot of finesse to make sure that you're not misfiring with the consumer, but if you can do it right and deliver the appropriate answer or solution, sometimes in multimedia, you can really drive up satisfaction in a big way. One market where I've been really impressed is China. Has anybody here used Wechat? Wechat is like a revolution in online. It's kind of this Eastern blend of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, PayPal. And it's become a really powerful concierge desk for most businesses. And again, it's not a complete default to technology. It combines kind of the human touch with the automation in an effort to deliver a lot of speed and value to consumers at that right moment in time. And here's an example of, Wechat in Chinese. Here's an example of how it might play out, but you've got airlines doing this. And I spent a lot of time, I love visiting call centers. When I was in Shanghai for a week, I spent an evening in one of our call centers. And what's interesting about the whole concierge mindset is that it's not one size fits all. if a mom calls on the phone, if a mom's calling with a complaint, you always default to the phone because that still is the sweet spot of managing emotion. So you don't completely default to automation. But if a consumer has a question before they want to buy, these service interfaces, whether it's a chatbot or messages, are really, really powerful. But it's a new type of skill that we need to develop, grounded in the old skills of what that hotel concierge is doing, which is like, how can I help you? What do you need to know? And it's continuing to grow. Again, example of a smart refrigerator interface where almost the computer desktop has now shown up in the screen, but now many of them are integrating Alexa algorithms or maybe Google algorithms into them where you're literally talking to the machine. But again, the challenge for us in business is like, how do we deliver the meaningful value in the process? Here's an example where you've got the digital concierge linked to a sensor. The sensor that can tell you what the specific need is. The dog dish is empty, therefore it's time to either purchase more dog food or take some other activity. But again, the ability to better diagnose need is greater than ever before. How do we take advantage of that? Now, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on e-commerce, because e-commerce is really raising the stakes in the bar for the concierge economy. Amazon's a great example. Think about Amazon Prime, where we actually spend 8 to 10 Swiss francs or dollars for free delivery over time. It's really big in our household. But it's resetting the expectations about what service means. And we're almost applying that standard to every other player that we deal with, both online and offline. E-commerce is also bringing this notion of the ratings and reviews as a form of credentialing how we buy. And so, more consumers are using those reviews, not only for online purchase, they're going offline and they're buying using their mobile phone and the like. But what's really powering a lot of the e-commerce activity is the credentialing from consumers grounded in service. If you read reviews on Amazon, Walmart, other major providers really carefully, a lot of the service elements of the brand experience are playing out into those reviews. And it's a reason why we all need to step up that concierge economy mindset. A few examples of sites that I think do a really good job. Zappos, which actually is owned by Amazon, although it operates independently. I just visited their site the other day. Their CEO wrote a popular bestseller called Delivering Happiness, and they really go out of their way to roll out that welcome mat to provide feedback and dialogue and to ask questions. They practically want you to complain, and they know there's a relationship between even complaining and ultimate profitability down the line. This is very, very intuitive to the e-commerce players. Here's an example of a premium pet player that it's not just a simple contact us, it's a very, very bold, Google-like interface saying, throw any question at us, we're ready to answer it. Again, it's that hotel concierge that leans in and looks for that question that you might want to ask. And then let's think about the sharing economy. This is one of the biggest stories of the last 5 years, right? I mean, it's kind of powering the internet, the Ubers, the Lyfts, the Airbnbs. The concierge mindset is pervasive across these. And you know this every time you take a car, kind of a Lyft ride, and you kind of look in the back and it looks something like this, where they've got bottles of waters, they may have candy. The driver who's eager to get great reviews is pretty chatty. They kind of want to act like a Google, and they know how the system works. And again, they're almost incented. They know that ultimately they will be rewarded in the location finder algorithm by delivering great service. And it works on the other side. My wife, Erica, has one of the highest scores, a really high score on Airbnb, because she's fanatical about making sure that she's rated as a great customer. And we've benefited tremendously from some great experiences in Europe because she's kept that rating so high. But a different way of thinking about credentialing. The concierge principle works on both sides. Now, technology is going to take this to powerful new levels. And think about augmented reality. Let's run this video where you can literally kind of bring the, where you can almost bring a concierge mindset. Here's a company that literally will help with car tour or tours, so you're going to take a bike tour or a hike, and it'll kind of bring that experience right to your desktop. Think about how the concierge typically brings out a map and draws it out, and now you're using augmented reality to get there. One of our brands, I'm not supposed to mention brands, but one of our brands is that I won't mention is focusing on putting actual sensors and cameras in the coffee field so you can literally go to the web interface and identify what's going on there. Different ways of serving the consumer. Now, the power of all of this is that it drives profitability and growth. My favorite class in business school was service management, and it made a very clear connection between customer loyalty and advocacy and growth and profitability. And shortly after business school, I started a company called Planet Feedback where we collected millions of pieces of consumer feedback, and we knew that there was a clear relationship in what consumers would say publicly online and great experiences like the store experience at Apple, where you've got this blend of the concierge salesperson using technology to help you get the answers, but we knew that this was very, very well documented online. Now, what I like about the concierge economy is that it flips the business model on its head. It's not about interruptive advertising, it's not about intrusion, it's not about interruption. It's an economy where the consumers are coming at us with questions. They're asking us for answers, and that presents a really unique opportunity. But it still requires a lot of trust to execute. We've all seen the bad concierge who gives us recommendations based on incentives. They're basically shills, the restaurant that their friend runs, and that doesn't work. We have to preserve a concierge economy that's trusted, objective, and if we do that, we're going to see a lot of opportunity emerge. So my big question to all of you, as you reflect on my comments today is your bell ready? Are you ready to take advantage of this concierge economy? I really hope that you are, and I thank you for your time.